RIWC.
Hi, I'm Rob. My wife and I have bought our first house, and we are going to start our model railroad together. Now, I do mean we, her and I. As much as model railroading is more my thing, and model planes are more her thing, she does have an interest in this, which will become apparent a little later on. We are going to be building the RIWC. The layout will be about 26 feet long and 12 feet wide. It is in a J shape, so although these are not the exact measurements, it will be about 3 feet deep in each area. The structure itself is 3 levels, however only the middle and top level will support trains, as the bottom is meant for storage for the house. The middle and top level are about 52 inches apart. So a question you may have is, why the RIWC? Well, me being born in 90s, I knew the WC being from north central Wisconsin. However, I was helping out a model railroad shop at one point, and my wife, at the time girlfriend, was visiting. And I got asked to work on about 30-some locomotives and reprogram them. One of them that I brought out was the Rock Island Bankruptcy Blues. And my wife went, "It's so pretty!" And that's how I got her in the hobby. Now that we bought our house, we are going to start working on our layout. We have our 6x6 helix in the J shape that I showed you. It'll be the RIWC, the Rock Island Wisconsin Central. Almost like one of them didn't get bought out, and one of them didn't go bankrupt. With that being said, though, a lot of time has changed, so I won't be following any traditional cities. For an example, theoretically, they could have had similar stuff going on in Minneapolis and Chicago. Well, I won't be following that. Not only that, but I also need to pay a nod to my mentor. For those of you that are in north central Wisconsin, if you know the name Snipe, you know who I'm talking about. So, the MT&W will also make an appearance on the layout. And just because my wife likes blue, and that's what she thought was so pretty about the Rock Island Bankruptcy Blues, there will still be borrowed power. For an example, one of the Union Pacific Heritage units, which is very, very blue, will also be making an appearance on the layout. We do have a locomotive that will be on the layout once we get building that is part of the Rock Island Reborn Blue. If any of you know Robert Riley or the Mississippi Delta Railroad that has reborn the Rock Island, if you do not, I suggest you start going through YouTube and Facebook and looking it up. Very cool what they're doing. They do have an HO scale locomotive, which I have purchased, and we will be running. So as much as my goal is the Bankruptcy Blues living on, and the WC living on, the Reborn Blue is just as cool. Now this, which is the lower part of the J on my layout, is where ham radio partially comes in. I took out the window in this part of the basement and put up a board with a bunch of connectors in it where I will be putting ham radios and antennas and feed line through. Now, being a ham radio operator, most people think of these people that talk to people all over the world, that do Morse code, that do many, many things. Me personally, I'm a technician class license. I prefer 2-meter communication, public service. So, I do a lot of storm spotting, plan on doing that with my radios, but I also really want to listen to the railroad. First of all, it is totally legal to listen to the railroad, okay? There's nothing wrong with listening. I want to make this clear, okay? Listening is fine. The moment you transmit, for any reason, outside of what you're legal for in your license, there's problems. You mess with the railroad, public service, which includes police, fire, EMT, anything like that, you're in trouble. Yes, they have to find you. I get that. But at the same time, don't mess with it. It's not worth it. This is a great hobby. Model railroading or ham radio. Don't do something stupid. If you're going to go put up a radio and you think for any reason it's going to interfere with anything outside of your license, don't do it. At all. It is not worth it. So, as much as I look forward to listening to it, which like I said is legal, that's it. And anyone out there who thinks anything else is wrong. So I look forward to doing that. At the same time, you saw that there were 10 holes in there. Well, I want 2 meter, 440. I also want my own weather station, which will take 1 or 2 of those holes. And then I want to be able to listen to the railroad. I will have a couple extra holes. I get that. But like I said, right now I'm a tech. I've been a tech for a few years. I'm happy as a tech. But that doesn't mean I don't want to grow. And frankly, I don't want to be drilling holes all over my house. And I don't want to be breaking out windows either. One is enough. For those of you that want to see me build my layout and where it's all going, I highly recommend that you subscribe and follow. However, if you want to see somebody with more of a construction background, someone who's really smart and doesn't just have a square J shape to work with, I highly recommend you follow CN.TrainBuff. He's a really, really cool guy. He uploads at least once a month. Really smart with what he does. Okay? If you're looking for more of the ham radio aspect, I recommend you look up KB9VBR. He's got a lot of information. He's very good at answering questions. He does Q&As. He even teams up with other ham radio operators. I may or may not make an appearance or two on his videos. And if you know anything about Baofangs and sad rail fans who wear a conductor's hat and look sad, I'm in that one. But you got to go find me. I'm also in another one for a fox hunt. I'm in a third one as well with another fox hunt. So I highly recommend that you go and look him up if you're looking for more ham radio. If you're interested in what I'm doing here, stick around. Not sure how often I'll be posting because I do run a restaurant, but I'm more than willing to take you on as a follower and a subscriber, and I thank you for that. So how do I actually plan on merging the two? Well, I'm glad you asked. I brought up CN.TrainBuff. Been helping out on his layout for a little bit. Unfortunately, COVID drew us away. I'm not going to get political or scientifical on stuff. I'm just saying that we've been apart due to COVID. So with that said, I've been helping out on that layout for a couple years. He has not yet been down to this layout, but the goal is that I will be the dispatcher on that layout. So how does that affect us? Well, CN.TrainBuff is not yet a ham radio operator. The hope is that he will become a ham radio operator. It has been discussed many times, and he's not against it. With that being said, we are on opposite sides of the county, and we are hoping that based on topographical maps and geographical maps, that we'll be able to use simplex frequencies so that way we can do similar to the real railroad. Yes, it's totally legal, as long as we're within our 2 meter band, or even our 70 centimeter band. I'm not sure which one will work better, but we will definitely give it a try. So that is the goal with that, is to connect the two in that manner, where I will run dispatch from here, he will run it from his own home. However, we both have a lot of building to do. If you take a look at this layout, you'll notice the 3 tiers. The top and middle, like I said, are going to be for trains. The bottom is going to be for storage. Now, if you go back in the video, you'll actually see a security camera system on the middle level. Yes, I do plan on using that for model railroading. It's going to give me some great angles on trains going by, yard operations, and different things to be able to look from above and just see the railroad differently, the model railroad differently. There are other model railroads that I've been a part of that are on YouTube. I might reference them later, not in this video. But the one thing that helped us the most was when we would put a camera on a rail car and push it down the layout. You can see things so differently, and different ways that these layouts are coming together. Different things we might have missed, different things we did so good on. and I want to be able to do that from the start. I'm not the best model railroader out there in the world, but I've done enough of these by my age to say, hey, I know what to look for. How to fix it or make it better, well, that's a different story. But what to look for, that I know. So we walk down the layout here. We got our helix made on a 6x6 cube, followed by the first module, and then the second module. Now I call them modules. They're not really modules. They're not really meant to come apart. But with that said, this layout is meant that I can do maintenance along the way without having to rip everything up. The next group here isn't really a module, but you can see from the structure that the 2x4s are inside the 4x8s. I built this with my 3 younger brothers, and I allowed them to have their ideas as long as my layout would be the way that I wanted it. All 3 of them are under the age of 18, and I'm over the age of 25. Structurally, I can lay down on this, and you can tell from the video, I'm a big fella. So I let them do this. I actually like it. Is it perfect? No. Does it look the prettiest? Yeah, not really. Is it unique? Yes. Does it work? Yes. So I let them have it. Then we come down here, which is that lower part of the J. And then we have another 6x6 square. This 6x6 square on top will be basically our roundhouse area. On the bottom, we're not sure what we're going to do yet. But that is the layout. Right now, there is no track plan.